Wow. 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 I love you all. Wow. 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 In the clinches, he said to me, "Follow that, my friend." I love this man. I love everyone in this room, and it is overwhelming, and I, like one of the two presidential candidates, am already off script. Thank you, Bob. You are a great friend. And as I often say to juries, this is going to be long, so hang in there. It is a high calling to be a Philadelphia trial lawyer like Bob Mongaluzzi. And there is a high bar to meet and standards expected of a Philadelphia trial lawyer. You exemplify, Bob, the demanding expectations of all of us. I deeply admire and respect you. You are my true friend. Thank you. It is with excitement and exuberance to be among all of you tonight, among former winners of this award, in honor of a great justice and a greater champion of justice, among colleagues and friends, among many justices and judges, among members of the legislature, among colleagues with whom I proudly go to work every day at Kline Inspector, among the faculty and staff of a law school which happens to be named the Kline School of Law. And so, with my family and those who I love so deeply, also here, I accept with gratitude and humility this honor which you have given me tonight. It is the highest honor which could be bestowed on anyone, any trial lawyer, anywhere, any place in the United States or anywhere on earth. This night belongs to many people. First, it belongs to a factory manager named Isidore and a homemaker named Jean from Hazleton, PA, who somehow named me after a Catholic saint and an English king. They're gone since 1981 and 1995, but they are not forgotten on this important night to me. My dad wanted me to stay in the coal town of Hazleton and remain a school teacher, and my mom told me I was too kind and gentle to be a lawyer as I was leaving for Duquesne Law School. Notwithstanding his advice and her counsel, they otherwise had impeccable judgment. Like the day I brought a metal funnel I made in shop class home from the 7th grade. My dad took one look at the welding and told me, "Son, you will need to make your living with your head, not your hands." They raised me and my sister Lois, who gave me my first push on a two-wheeler without training wheels. I fell, I got up, and I have been going ever since. In reflection on tonight, I have not been able to get out of my mind the fact that the lives of my grandparents and my grandchildren have or likely will span the 19th century, the 20th century, the 21st century, and the 22nd centuries. My both grandfathers, Abe Kline and Morris Levin, were immigrant peddlers from Russia in the 1980s, born in the 1980s. My three beautiful grandchildren, thank you, Jordan Merson and Hillary Kline, according to the life expectancy tables, may well live beyond 2,000 and 2,100. It reminds me, as do the mosaics in my office, that we are the connective tissue between generations. I am grateful to have lived this long and full life. Zach Kline, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for being there with me literally every day. Zach happens to be a graduate of the Kline School of Law, but a very accomplished playwright by profession, and currently the driving force behind a national theater project after Orlando, which will be in 55 theaters and universities, including the Suzanne Roberts Theater mark it down on your calendars, November 21st. Advertisement. His mother instilled in him a love of theater, and her passion won the day with her son. And Hillary Merson, the mother of 3 and the longest tenured teacher at Temple Israel Preschool in New York. Her mother, a teacher before her, was the great influence in her life. No father could have a better daughter, and no children could have a better mother, and no kids could have a better teacher. And yes, she happens to be married to a trial lawyer, Jordan Merson, who happens to have had a couple of 7- and 8-figure jury verdicts recently in New York. So we have something to talk about at dinner. Many of you knew Paula Kline. Paula Kline was the soul and the inspiration of our family, and she died too young. But she left a great legacy. In 2004, she planned a surprise party for me and did a video interview and became too ill for the party to go forward. I would be remiss if I did not play a short piece which I am now ready to show you. I never had the heart to view it until I prepared for tonight's speech. This 40 seconds, which you have never seen, are for you, Hillary and Zach.
There is nothing in the world that's more important to Tom than his family, and nothing that he takes more pride or more joy in than his wonderful relationships with Hillary and Zach. Hillary and Tom are of kindred spirits on many fronts. They're the two that love to shop and just have a ball running around seeing what kind of bargains they can get. And Hillary knows to hit up her dad when she wants something. And Tom and Zach have just built an incredible relationship with their folk music, with Bob Dylan and Warren Zevon and Lucinda Williams and all the things that they enjoy together. And that's what makes Tom tick, and that's why he works as hard as he does. And that's, above all, what Tom cares about.
And let me mention Jim Beasley. Jim died 3 months before Paula. If there had not been a Beasley School of Law, there would never have been the inspiration for a Kline School of Law. Jim was a true pioneer. He was the quintessential trial lawyer, and Jim Beasley was a lawyer for the generations. I came to work for Jim Beasley on January the 2nd, 1980. Jim told me I did not need to work on New Year's Day. It's true. I had clerked for a great justice of the Supreme Court, Thomas Pomeroy, where I had a glimpse into the court and the difficult and important decisions that are made there every day. I came to this clerkship from Duquesne University School of Law, which has produced members of the bench and bar who have prominently advanced the cause of justice in our Commonwealth, especially in public service, especially in service on our courts. Most notably here tonight with us are Justices Donahue and Justice Baer from my alma mater. I especially appreciate and am honored by the justices of the Supreme Court who came here tonight to be among us, and also now Dean Maureen Lawley Green of the Duquesne University School of Law. Thank you. I have practiced law with Shannon Spector since we met at the Beasley firm in 1982 when Shannon, Jim, and I marched off to Camden to try a drug product liability case for 8 weeks. He was a 25-year-old summer clerk then. I owe a debt of gratitude to Shannon, which I will never repay. He is an emblem of intellect, discipline, and determination woven on a heart of gold. Applause line. Now you're warming up. One day after Yom Kippur, years ago, he came through my door that has opened without knocking between our offices for 22 years and told me something he was thinking about that the rabbi had said in his sermon. It's better to be kind than to be right. I wrote it down, typed it up, enlarged it, put it on my desk, where that now yellowed paper has remained ever since. Thousands of papers have come and gone, but this paper remains. But Shannon and I are just 2 lawyers among a remarkable group of lawyers and staff at a firm called Kline Spector, where collaborative wisdom, creativity, and caring are the governing principles. For them, I give you my one and only Bob Dylan quote, Bob Mangaluzzi, of the evening. I have nothing but affection for all those who sailed with me. And Lynn McCluskey, she keeps the boat afloat. Lynn McCluskey. We're almost through the personal stuff, folks. Wait till I get to the substantive stuff. 6 years ago, I think you'll like this, because I do. 6 years ago, I took a very pretty woman to a 76ers game. She was my good friend's nanny. This was promised not to become romantic. Her name is Brittany Schoenbeck. We've been together ever since that night. She has brought much love and life to me and to my family. She will graduate from the Kline School of Law this coming May. She cares deeply about the abuse of children and women in our society, and she will be part of the next generation to stand up for victims of this scourge. She has a 2/3 merit scholarship, which is the only bargain that I ever got from Drexel University. Tonight does not really honor me. I happen to be standing as one among us who have stood collectively on behalf of those who have been terribly hurt and for whom redress is needed in the courts. Today, one such case is unfolding in City Hall, where my law partner Andy Stern, Bob Mangaluzzi, Steve Wigreiser, and other lawyers in this room are about to hold accountable those who caused the deaths and lives destroyed of many in the Market Street collapse. Our firm represents an immigrant from Ukraine, Maria Plakin, shopping for bargains at a thrift store. She was buried in the rubble, losing both of her limbs. She is one among many who look to us collectively when others have failed them. So the night does not belong to us alone. I dedicate tonight, not to me and not to us. I devote it to our clients collectively, whose courage and resilience in the face of adversity have provided the inspiration for nearly everything I do. With us tonight are just a few of those whose just and righteous causes we have undertaken and whose causes have and will make a collective difference. In 1999, it seems so long ago, a little boy lost his foot in a dangerous and decrepit escalator at Broad and Cecil B. Moore, which, unknowable to the public, was part of a decayed and broken SEPTA escalator system. After a jury verdict, and on the day before a courageous judge, Frederica Messiah Jackson, fined SEPTA $1 million, the SEPTA general manager stood outside of courtroom 646 in front of the TV cameras, adopting my rhetorical thought to him, which I suggested in the courtroom that day. Something good can come out of something bad. Sharif Hall is with us. The result of Hall v. SEPTA was more than compensation for one little boy. It repaired a broken transit system. You are now a grown man. But Sharif, and thank you for coming, I love you. You made a difference when you were just a small little boy. Deanne White. Deanne White was a promising young woman, a journalism graduate of Temple, a bright future ahead, the most wonderful family. She went out to celebrate her upcoming 26th birthday with her Camden Aquarium coworkers. And then it all came crashing down. Pier 34 collapsed into the Delaware River on May 18, 2000, and Deanne was gone forever. Her family is here tonight. If you would stand. Clyde, Blanche, Clyde Toole, Blanche White, Gail Ramsey, Cheryl Gill. As the case dragged on, my friend Clyde used to tell me, Tom, I'm not going to make it to see the end of this. Well, Clyde is 92 and Blanche is 79, and they are here with us tonight. Their lives are full. Their family is wonderful, but their hearts are heavy. This family stood together and, along with other Pier 34 families, insisted not only on compensation, but for the prosecution of those who carelessly cost their daughter's life. And they succeeded. And then they established the Deanne White Scholarship Fund as well. We admire your tenacity and your adversity and look to you as symbols of hope. On May 12, 2015, Amtrak Train 188 derailed the lives of many. Todd Waldman is here tonight. Todd, I promised you reluctantly the spotlight. Todd is raising his 3-year-old son, Jacob, alone. He lost the love of his life, Rachel Jacobs, a woman devoted to her family, her community, and a CEO of an emerging company. I am proud, Todd, of your courage amidst your tears. Along with AAJ, who was mentioned earlier, we succeeded in raising the inadequate cap by an act of Congress. Even our Congress could not say no. Many lawyers in this room are standing and working shoulder to shoulder to obtain a measure of justice for you, Todd. Not only financial compensation, but also accountability for Amtrak and accountability for Brandon Bastian, an engineer entrusted with Rachel's life, who recklessly operated that train at 106 miles an hour in a 50-mile-an-hour zone. And we will not stand until this is remedied. And then there is Ebony Harris. Ebony? 2 years ago, a jury decided that the cerebral palsy that afflicts her beautiful daughter, Fenice, was caused by medical negligence. Ebony is a model of a parent with a child with disabilities. She works for the federal government during the day and at night cares for her severely handicapped daughter. On behalf of Fenice, who cannot speak for herself, but I can, she appreciates you more than you could possibly imagine. Thank you. Phil Holland. Phil, if you would stand. Phil Holland was a college student making a delivery from Slices and More Pizza to a home near 51st and Baltimore on April 22nd, 2014. Moments after making a delivery, he was shockingly gunned down when plainclothes police officer delivered 14 bullets into his moving car. A bullet remains lodged in Phil's brain. He was not a suspect. There was no probable cause. There was no conceivable justification for this assault on an innocent citizen of this city. There has been no criminal prosecution and no punishment of the police officers to this day. We, trial lawyers, are left to hold the police and the city accountable, and Phil, we will. Sean McElmail was 26 years old when he died of a heroin overdose. His life went on a downward trajectory from the time that he was in his teens. While he managed to graduate from LaSalle University, he was tormented by the abuse he suffered as a child victim of a serial predator priest. Part of the sordid story has been told in a grand jury report and in a criminal trial, which has been prominently in the newspapers and on the TV, of how a serial pedophile was moved from parish to parish. The true horrific details are really contained in Sean's psychiatrist and psychologist records. Debbie and Michael McElmail, would you stand? These proud folks have made it their mission in life to bring the perpetrator and those who enabled that perpetrator to justice. Their vision and their journey will not be complete until a civil trial decides this case. Thank you. And finally, there is Latifa Rashid. Latifa, would you stand? I love you, Latifa. Her little girl was taken by a stranger from the W.C. Bryant Elementary School on January 14, 2013. An innocent child in the cocoon of a kindergarten class. She was kidnapped and assaulted in the most unimaginable way, in the most brutal and heinous crimes in a tragically violent city which knows brutality and violence all too well. This brave little daughter of Latifah, as a 5-year-old, led the police to the home of the perpetrators. Latifah testified, and then her sweet, beautiful little girl took the witness stand in a packed courtroom and bravely testified against one of the perpetrators. Christina Regusters was convicted. Now, as far as the school district, you knew I'd get to this part. There's no current remedy under state law. Can you imagine that? That is wrong, and it must be changed. There must be redress in our state courts for admitted negligence and carelessness by those entrusted with our precious children. Barred by our state courts, we filed a federal civil rights action, and after a lot of wrangling, last week, in a landmark ruling, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that our claims 3 years later shall go forward. Judge Fuentes of the Third Circuit noted, "It is shocking to the conscience that a kindergarten teacher would allow a child in his care to leave his classroom with a complete stranger." Latifah Rashid, you are a pillar of courage, a pillar of courage. We admire your steadfast resolve through all of this and the care and comfort you have given your little girl. The law must provide a remedy, Latifah, and we in this room will not sleep until that remedy is provided. Now, I told you it would be long. Speaking of constitutional rights and the redress sought by Todd and his son, Latifah and her daughter, and the McElmails, one of the most powerful statements made in reference to our Constitution came when a United States citizen reached into his coat pocket and extended his hand and uttered 5 words. Have you read the Constitution? The words of Khizr Khan on July 28, 2016 touched a national nerve. Most impressive to me was the fact that Khan is a foreign law school graduate who holds a law degree from Pakistan and an LLM from a United States law school. It's a different place, John, so we won't mention it. Begins with the letter H. The pocket constitution he was holding contains our most fundamental rights, including, of course, the right to a trial by jury contained in the 7th Amendment to the United States Constitution. 9 days ago, I taught a class on the American jury system to a small group of foreign LLM and JD students. We've had students from 20 countries at our law school. All of the students have had a law degree from their home country and are working on an advanced American degree like Mr. Khan. The students in our September 6th class came from some disparate places: China, Armenia, Israel, Saudi Arabia. Not one of those countries has the right to a trial by jury. Every student present at the class, to my surprise, was somewhere on the continuum of skeptical to hostile to the concept of a jury trial. Every student, to a one, each a practicing lawyer in his or her country, distrusted a jury as the repository of wisdom with either enough education or experience to decide a criminal or civil case. So what do? Among the many things I explained to them is that nearly every correction made by our appellate courts overturns a judge's decision, not a jury's finding. It's going to be a laugh line. Our Pennsylvania Constitution in many ways affords greater protections than the federal Constitution. That's the prerogative of any state. One such right, as interpreted by our court, is the right to a trial by jury, but a jury of 12. How do I know this? Well, I know it firsthand. Having achieved a jury verdict of 11 of 11, exactly 30 years ago, but having had it reversed, even though we needed 10 of 12, and we got 11 of 11. Why? Because under our Constitution, as interpreted by our Supreme Court, the Constitution requires the deliberative value of even that 12th person, that 12th juror. It's okay. Now we know, and life moved on for me, and we now know what the right is under our Constitution. As a reminder this evening and as a memento of this great occasion for me personally, I have for each of you the Pennsylvania and United States Constitutions in which that right is embedded. It fits in your pocket, it fits in your purse, and as I told the foreign law students, trial by jury is the great equalizer. It is what elevates us as a people. It is what empowers us as a nation. It is the bedrock of our commonwealth, our nation, and our democracy. How strongly do I feel about that? Strongly enough to have engraved on the floor of the main hall of the Kline Institute of Trial Advocacy the words of Article 1, Section 6 of the Pennsylvania Constitution. Trial by jury shall remain inviolate. So, I'm still having fun. What is the prescription? And what is the takeaway from tonight in addition to walking away with a newly minted Pennsylvania and United States Constitution? Well, I now return to Zach Kline and me. Every weekday since 2003, I receive a word of the day from a service called Wordsmith. I receive it. It's my job to turn the word into a limerick. I've gotten pretty good at limericks. And send it to Zach Kline. It's our weekday routine for 13 years. And that takes me to last Friday's word. Veritable. Veritable. Adjective, true, real. Let me share Zach's Friday, September 8th limerick, which was sent in anticipation tonight with you. Your speech next Wednesday should be veritable. And you'll likely mention the importance of being charitable. You might even mention making something good out of something bad, which will make everyone smile, not sad, since it will be rather meritable. And therein lies our prescription. Therein lies our prescription. Like a doctor, one dose of veritable. Be true to our clients and ourselves. One dose of meritable. Never give up on a meritable cause. Today's lost cause may be tomorrow's won cause, like those draconian municipal caps which must be abolished. One dose of charitable. Give back to what really matters. Trust me, that will give you true happiness. And now, Zach, may I add one more? Veritable, meritable, and charitable, a booster dose. Remediable. Remediable. Let us seek remedies, brothers and sisters of the bar. Let us seek remedies beyond those remedies which compensate and which are beyond monetary. We can and have removed bad drugs and devices from the market together. We have and will continue to change medical practices. We have changed the way that power companies maintain their power lines, Shane Inspector. We have forced rogue physicians and therapists from our midst. IKEA dressers which tip over and kill our children have been recalled thanks to Feldman Shepard and others. And we have collectively done much more and will do much more. But there is so much more to do. I leave you with this thought. In addition tonight to Bob Mongaluzzi's great speech, in addition tonight with arming you with your new edition of a pocket constitution and a prescription for all of us, Wordsmith, you see, also sends a thought of the day. Kind of tagged along for good measure. Last Friday's thought comes from Tolstoy. Yep, almost finished, but back in the 19th century we are. A person is like a fraction whose numerator is what he is and whose denominator is what he thinks of himself. The larger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. I wrote it out on a tablet. Let us all in this room strive to achieve an ideal Tolstoy score. Thank you for this great honor. Let us continue the work of achieving fairness and justice for those who need us most, for those who needed us yesterday, for those who need us today, and yes, for those who will need us tomorrow. Thank you very much.